because so many people are spending their ad dollars in so many different places, it is kind of hard to pinpoint what's helping my business grow and what's a waste of money, quite frankly.
Welcome to Agents of Change, a podcast about the future of B2B marketing, featuring insights from executives at top agencies. I'm Danielle O'Neill with Leadtail. Let's hop on in. Hi, welcome back to Agents of Change. I'm very excited. Today I have Matt Engelson. He is the Digital Marketing Director over at Sagefrog Marketing. And I'm really excited to talk to him. He has a lot of thoughts on all things digital, SEO, paid, programmatic, technology, everything. So I'm excited to hear from him and have his thoughts today. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Danielle. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to see what topics we hit.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to hit many just based on the conversations we've already had.
Yeah, it's been a long week, so I'm excited. Mine's a little bit everywhere.
This is true. This is true. Just a note for everybody. We're recording this on a Friday afternoon. And so it's been a very long week for us. And there's been a lot happening in news cycles and everything else. And so there's a lot on our heads today as we come into this, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it, Matt, because something that you and I were just talking about, the elephant in the room, AI. We have the Washington Post article that came out today. There's a lot of talk about AI, particularly here in marketing. It's coming for our jobs. There's a lot of areas that we need to be aware of. So in your opinion, what does this mean for our jobs? What does this mean for our industry? And what are we looking at here in the next year or two ahead?
Well, I think we're going to certainly have to learn how to use it. I don't think it's going to come for our jobs right away. I'm very curious / nervous about how it's going to change people's experience on search. So I don't know if websites are going to be all that necessary for much longer, which is kind of scary. But, Google used to, hey, we're going to get you to that website you're looking for as fast as possible. And now we are going to keep you on Google for as long as possible. So that's going to be a huge change in how is content and how are people's websites, companies' websites going to be found if everything can be answered right on the results page.
Yeah, with Google.
It's a little bit nerve-wracking, to be honest. So,
well, and it's going to change the paid strategy too. It's going to change our SEO. Everything.
Yeah, for paid, we've been leaning in. They've made huge improvements in their automated bid strategies, for example, which is AI, machine learning. As far as I'm concerned, it's gotten a lot better the last couple of years. We used to use third-party tools to help us manage bids for our larger accounts, and we don't really need those tools anymore because, max conversions, max clicks is working so much better than it used to. So.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And you guys, I know particularly you, have really been on top of where this is all going when it comes to these analytics and some of these other changes that we've had. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen so far?
In analytics, we're just trying to obviously get used to GA4 coming in. So hopefully that transition is a smooth one for clients. I know, just using our Visual Data Studio tools, that's looking so different now compared to UA. We have clients, prospects asking us about pixelless campaigns that are run totally in-app, just in Facebook or in Instagram, using the different ad formats to move people down the funnel. iOS 14 is not being very helpful in that, obviously, so we have to deal with that as well. I think that's obviously pushing people to do those pixelless campaigns. It's certainly going to affect, anything in healthcare and patient data, stuff like that. thankfully in B2B, we don't have to do much of that, but we're still seeing the effects because we are in the healthcare space.
Yeah. I mean, we all do have those clients in that space. And so that's something that we're going to have to be cognizant of and also willing and able to adapt to those changes.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, it's a little too much all at once, to be quite honest.
And it's never a dull moment, especially when they roll out new changes.
Yeah, with AI changing, with analytics changing, I wish it wasn't happening at the same time, but we have a great copy team who's leaning into ChatGPT and learning how to write better prompts. So that's obviously helpful. I do think, if you just ask it to write a blog, it's pretty obvious that a machine wrote it and not a person. But certainly it's getting better. I was watching a news story about it actually on CNBC where it apologized for citing something incorrectly. I thought that was very interesting. That's scary and interesting, but yeah, we're going to have to learn how to use it. But I definitely think for now, for the foreseeable future, I think our jobs are safe. I have to do so much of this talking to people, and right now a computer can't do that. So I have to, get on Zoom, explain the data, make recommendations, and the computer's not doing that just yet. So
not yet.
Not yet. Fingers crossed.
We can't run our client meetings yet.
Right. So
And
that's how I see it.
Yeah. I fear for the AI generated Danielle that is running those meetings someday. That'll be interesting to see. Well, let's move on from AI. Let's talk about things that we actually do know and understand instead.
Yes.
And one thing that I loved in our initial conversation, you were telling us about the personas that Sagefrog uses, and how you really use these personas to kind of help identify not only the clients that are coming to you and really what they are needing, but also it helps us set those expectations for success. So I think you'd mentioned Marketing Mary and Decision Maker Dave. I loved that.
Yeah, that was it. Yes. We have pictures, slides, data, approximate ages. But yeah, we have all kinds of data on our personas that we use to go out and advertise to, as well as to help us understand what their needs are once they come to us so we can, strategically plan their marketing.
That's fantastic because that will help you with setting those expectations for them. So let's talk about each. Tell me just a quick quip about Marketing Mary and Decision Making Dave.
Yeah. So Marketing Mary in the B2B setting, which I've been doing since 2016 at Sagefrog, is a lot of times like a one woman or one man show. And they have to do so many different things. They don't really have the time in the day to do that and have some kind of life outside of work. It's just not possible. So they know they need help. They don't exactly know what they need help with, but they typically reach out to us with very generic kind of questions like, our website's outdated. How can you update it? We're not getting as much traffic as we once were. How can we do that? They have an ads account that is like on set it and forget it mode, which is not ideal, obviously. So they reach out and then they'll present Sagefrog to their boss. And we're like, hey, our job is to make you look like a rock star to your boss. So whatever it is, we'll do to help you, do your job. And then, typically boss comes in, decision maker Dave, and he'll have it somewhat similar goals or sometimes completely out of left field goals. So there's a lot of expectation setting that needs to be done, and we try to do it in biz dev. right away. And then we continue to do it. If you don't continue to set expectations, by the time you're, 3-4 months into the plan, they're long forgotten.
Yep, exactly. So when you're having those initial conversations and you're setting those expectations with each of them, as we know, there tends to be a little disconnect. Everybody has their own decision-making. Dave, he has his own, this campaign has to do X because I need it for this, whereas Marketing Mary wants more engagement or overall brand amplification. So what do you do when those two parties aren't speaking to each other? So then maybe expectations aren't being met with them.
Yeah, we try to kind of get them all in the same room at the same time together and explain, doing social media is great and it helps out Marketing Mary a ton, but it doesn't exactly produce the ROI that decision maker Dave is looking for. But we're still going to charge you for it because it's taking up our time, it's taking up our services. So we kind of force them to prioritize what they want in our scope of work. And it helps them align their goals. So we ask a ton of questions. We want to know their customer lifetime value. We'll go in their HubSpot and look at their deals, try to calculate the ROI. When I see a client that, one of their deals is 7 figures and they're complaining over spending $100,000 over the course of a year, we have an uphill battle. So, and that's pretty common in B2B.
Yeah, absolutely. We see it all the time. And so we know that those conversations can be difficult with clients. I mean, how do you approach that outside of getting them together, but being able to even arm Marketing Mary with what she needs? Like, what's your overall approach with these more difficult conversations?
So it's usually, first it starts with what they've done previously and where it got them. So we do a lot of due diligence into analytics, into HubSpot, into their CRM. And then we ask them what their goals are. Mm-hmm. And then we talk about how are we going to bridge that gap from where you are in 2022 to where you want to be in 2023. And they usually have different answers, and it's quite entertaining for them to for us really to watch them kind of battle it out about what's going to go on. And then they have to usually get their sales team involved in that as well. But we really have a lot of expertise and a lot of knowledge in this is, $2,000 a month in sponsored content on LinkedIn will get you this much, but it's still not going to get you to where you want to be.
Right.
So we have to sit and explain from our experience what each tactic is going to provide. And then, we have back and forth till we land on, an agreement with an SOW. A lot of times there, when you're really hungry and you go to a great restaurant and your eyes are bigger than your stomach, and they typically have to come back down to earth a little bit with their goals, is what I really try to shoot for, is a more realistic goals. I said this in the initial conversation. I've had prospects reach out who are looking for the ROI of a lottery ticket.
Yes.
And they're serious about it too. Mm-hmm. They don't understand why it doesn't work like that.
Why can't you guarantee this for me?
Yeah. Yeah. So we never say that, the G word. We never say that.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a lot of back and forth in biz dev. There's usually at least 3 meetings that we have before we're set on a plan. And then we spend the first month or so, once they sign, working out the strategy, what's going to get us there. Mm-hmm. Because if you got to think the long term, you don't want to, sacrifice the long term for these short term gains, which a lot of time is the goal of decision maker Dave. Like he wants ROI like tomorrow.
Yeah.
So like I'll have like a giant J curve up on a screen from investment banking land and explain to them that's what, the ROI is on SEO on a new website. And I'll say, this is where we are and it's going to go down first.
Yep.
And they get it because they're looking at it and they understand. And, we've sent them an invoice. So they start to process that it's not going to happen right away.
That's perfect. Well, I mean, that's part of, I think, the struggle that we all feel is that clients are always asking us like to predict the future, give them that crystal ball. If we do X, then Y and Z must happen. And as we know, there's a lot that we can't control in marketing. There's a lot that we can't do. So that's where you have to rely on analytics, like you were saying.
Yeah, I wish there was more e-commerce in B2B. It's so much easier. But, I remember reading articles, dating back 5 years, like B2C is coming to B2B. It's all going to be the same shopping experience. And that didn't happen as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that anywhere. Mm-mm.
So we have, dozens and dozens of clients, and I can count on one hand how many have e-commerce. And that's great. There's, real easy math there to do some ROI calculations. Most of the time, we're getting form fills, we're getting demo requests, and we're waiting months upon months to hear back if a deal ever closed from the work that we did. And then you get into the whole issue of attribution, which is usually the next difficult topic after expectation setting. Like, how do I know this is what I got for this?
Yep.
Like, oh boy, here we go.
So do you find that you have to have that attribution discussion more with decision maker Dave as opposed to
all the time? Yeah. Marketing Mary just is like happy with like number of leads. She's good. And then, even sometimes CMO will be good with like number of leads, but we'll typically get, on a call or on Zoom with somebody who wants to just see revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and I feel like attribution has become such the buzzword lately, and everybody is show me the attribution and how can we define attribution here, and
we had
talking attribution that we weren't hearing that as much 2 years ago. What do you think has tipped it? But now everybody is asking for attribution.
Yeah, I think because so many people are spending their ad dollars in so many different places, it is kind of hard to pinpoint what's helping my business grow and what's a waste of money, quite frankly. Like, so the prospect that I'm thinking about that just reached out about pixelless campaigns also asked about attribution. And there is none for pixelless campaigns.
Yeah. I mean,
it doesn't exist. And he asked, he was like, so what tools are you guys using for attribution? I don't know. And then, with regular attribution and multi-touch attribution, we tell them the price of Enterprise HubSpot or, GA 4360. And it's sticker shock for most like small to medium sized B2B companies that we're dealing with. So we try to, use our best estimates with CallRail, with analytics, with their CRM, and try to put a puzzle together for them that shows something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always a hard one of how to approach that.
It is. It's very difficult. And that's what we get asked all the time.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love those questions. Answering as best as we can.
Yeah. And they always ask, are you sure? I'll explain something. I'll be like, are you sure? I'll be like, nope.
Nope, because everything I told you is going to change next week.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly. And who knows how long I'm going to know this before it's completely changed and now I have to learn something else.
Right. So I'm thankful that some clients are understanding of that and have been in this long enough. But we have a lot of clients, especially in B2B, and it's shocking, I think, in 2023 are just starting their digital marketing journey. So like setting expectations and talking about attribution is like way over their head.
Yeah. But they're still 5 years away from that.
Yeah. So thinking about like expectation settings is a lot for them. And then we'll get into, attribution way down the road.
Yeah. It's that first expectation. And I think that's where it's sometimes hard for us marketers to really almost lay down the gauntlet when we're talking expectations. I know for me personally, I always want to do whatever I possibly can for the client. And sometimes that includes going above and beyond what we've already agreed to. But then we also have to fully understand what are the expectations of what it is that we're trying to achieve here.
Yeah, I have a colleague, and she's famous for saying, like, hey, I'll stand on your head if that's what you want me to do. She's much nicer than I am. But when it comes to that and, arguing over the fine points and the vagueness or specificity in an SOW as far as, like, their expectation goes, like, hey, you said you would do this in X amount of time. Where is it? It gets to be a lot very quickly, unfortunately, because the pressure is on these small companies, I think, with, how our economy is doing or not doing.
Well, and then that's also where we have to remind them of taking time for things. And I think that's where a lot of times we all have our own timelines. We know that this will take this amount of time, but the clients in their head may say, well, we only have 2 months for this as opposed to the 6 months that you're telling me we're going to achieve this.
Yeah, we see that all the time in web development with expectation setting around that. So we'll say, hey, our website, our custom website is going to take 4 months. And they're like, all right, we need it in 2.
Right. We have a product launch in 6 weeks. How can we make that happen?
And unfortunately, I feel we've launched some sites that are half finished, and then we'll go back and do the rest after the trade show or event that they needed the new homepage for, which is not ideal, certainly for search and things like that. You're doing redirects and then you're undoing redirects, but it's possible. We really do try to please all our clients, sometimes to their detriment, which they don't even realize.
Exactly. And that's sometimes where we have to stand up and be the bad guys. But I hate that role so much.
Yeah, I've kind of been. So we have an account management team, and they're, in charge of client satisfaction. So we never want them, asking for money or saying no, because you're never going to be satisfied with somebody who keeps asking you for money. So I've kind of been thrust into that role a little bit where I've really relied on the data to ask for more money or say no. So I have at least something to back me up, because I don't want to just go in with an opinion about, I think you're going to need to spend more. I'm going to show them that their search loss impression share is, 80%, and their ads are showing, when I say, hey, your ads are only showing 20 out of 100 times possible, that sounds a lot better than you need to spend more.
Right. Yeah. It's all about that positioning. I like that.
Yeah. It's worked very well for me, but I'm still labeled the bad guy or what? It doesn't, I guess it doesn't really come off when they are, writing another check or giving me a new credit card. It still bothers them, but
but it's not as bad.
Right. Yeah. And the one thing you said was interesting about timing. So in B2B, we have really long sales cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they don't even, like, our clients don't even consider that.
Yep.
When we're setting expectations, like, they don't even realize how long it takes for their own colleagues to get these deals. Mm-hmm. And we have to remind them of their own sales cycles at times. And
yeah,
I find that to be wild, but it's happened.
I mean, we've had to do the same when we're thinking about the time of close from when we've started a campaign into when they can actually say that, yes, we got a client out of that, and remind them that's, our timeline, our 6, 8, 9 month timeline, whatever it is on top of your 12 to 18 month sales cycle. So keep that in mind that, these aren't all going to run concurrently usually. So that has to add to that.
Yeah. I'm always very curious about, like, leadership teams in marketing, whether they have the philosophy of, like, hey, we can lead a horse to water, but do we have to make it drink? Like, you should be happy with the amount of leads and all that stuff I got you. Whether it turns into money is on you guys. And I know our CEO is also, like, my client, so I'm running our ads and all that stuff, and he is not. It's got to turn into money. So that's kind of the mindset I've gotten in. I've also had other bosses in the past where it's like, you got them all these leads, it's on them. So I'm very curious, like, what your listeners out there have experienced as far as that goes. And
how they've been able to work that.
Yeah.
Because it's tough. I mean, you have to be able to show the value there, but then at the same time, I can't be on the calls with your sales team to go in and close these.
Exactly.
There's only so much I can do for you. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have one client where we are tracked against demo requests. It's not really on us to provide the revenue, but man, I feel like the pressure is because if those demo requests are not turning into revenue, maybe I'm getting them from the wrong people or
right. Yeah.
So,
yep. Yeah. So maybe that's a time to look back at those personas.
Yeah, we do a lot of that. Mm-hmm. We do that with every client, especially when there's so much around demand generation now, and that all hinges on having a really good solidified persona.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and personas change. I mean, if you're telling me you haven't changed your persona in 3 or 4 years, then I'm going to come back and tell you haven't done your research on who it really is that you're selling to.
Yeah, we're always showing clients like insight tag data in LinkedIn, or say, hey, our wealthier clients, I'll push them towards Zoom Info, Leadland or something that will show them who's actually coming to their website. Mm-hmm. It's just like when they give us a list of their competitors. We're like, really? That's like who you're competing with, and it never is.
Yeah.
It might be like somebody they don't like at a trade show is like who they usually give us at a competitor. They're like, this person,
text them at the booth.
Yeah, like this person, they had a bigger booth, so we don't like it. But it's never like the digital who's actually competing for that keyword or for that ad spot. It's always different, but
it's true.
That's another part of expectation setting, is talking like, this is what your competitor is doing. We do a lot of that, and that's very enlightening for our clients to see.
100%. Yeah, that's huge for them to know where they're putting their time and investment.
Yeah.
Matt, before I let you go today and get back to your Friday, what are you working on right now that really excites you, or what's happening right now that is exciting to you?
Yeah, so we are launching demand generation as a service for the first time in 2023 at Sagefrog. So we're doing a lot of that with programmatic starting out to build our awareness. We're having these great landing pages that are ungated with a lot of great content on there. Then we're
hallelujah to ungated content.
What's that?
It's a hallelujah to ungated content. That makes my heart so happy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much of it. Everything can't.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be some free content out there.
Exactly. Yep.
But getting into a lot of the MarTech space, so we're able to build lists, not to email. I want to put that disclaimer out there. Right? We didn't opt in, I know. But to then, upload and use as ABM in LinkedIn and other places. We're excited about that. We're getting a lot of small to medium sized businesses who are specifically looking for that, especially ones who have, again, we had a prospect call yesterday. They've never done any digital, and an IT company too. So really tech, and they've relied on word of mouth. They've relied on, networking, all that stuff. So demand gen seems to fit their needs of awareness and lead generation.
That's very cool. Well, I'll be excited to watch Sagefrog and see what's happening with your demand gen and all the other services that you're offering.
Yeah, I'll be sure to let you know.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. I feel like we've covered a whole bunch of stuff, and you likely could have sat here with me for another 3 hours, and I would still have so much more to talk to you about.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same. And not just because it's a Friday afternoon. But,
There's so much we could cover, but I appreciate all of your insights and sharing everything that you've learned so far. And who knows, maybe we'll have you back in a year and we can revisit our AI and see if we were.
Yeah, we should see if our predictions come true or not. That would be interesting.
Exactly. Let's do a compare and contrast.
For sure. You got it.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Thank you. Take care.